there are constant blood glucose monitors, and this is just an absolute revelation. I've had mine for, I believe, about 4 years, and the newer model made by Dexcom, which is covered by most health insurance plans and Medicare and Medicaid, absolutely will cover it, because the cost of these little units is actually less expensive than test strips, because test strips are quite expensive to make. They used to cost a little over $1 each for every test.
And you did many tests a day. And
yes, well, again, they used to tell me at Vanderbilt that I did more tests than anybody else. And I did an average, I think, of like somewhere between like 7.2 and 8 tests a day. So, because I would never eat without knowing what my blood glucose was. And if I was reading a paragraph and I read it again, I went, wait a minute, I've just reread that. That must mean that I might have a lower blood glucose. So what we have now is a little thing you can put on. I mean, I think I can just show you here. It's a small unit here. Let me just show you. It's this little thing here, and there's a transmitter in here, and that transmitter transmits every 5 minutes what my blood glucose is, and it will either transmit it to a small. You can get a small thing like a cell phone, which is separate, or you can add it to your iPhone.
Right.
And so this is what the face of mine looks like, and so what it shows is.
And then you can see your average, right?
And this shows me what my blood glucose right now is 118, which is highly acceptable. And then you can turn this, and the grey field here is my target range. I set myself
right in there.
And so that shows how many hours have I got here. I've got for the last 6 hours, so that's what, but you can review it and look at it over 24 hours. But the other great thing about this is that I can look at any time and go, well, I shouldn't have eaten that, or that had more sweetness if I've eaten at a restaurant, and I can make adjustments. I never eat ever if my blood glucose is above 140. I just wait a few minutes. I'll take my insulin, and then I'll just wait, because I know that if I eat when it's higher, it's just going to go higher, and it will take a lot longer to bring it down.
So you take the insulin, it then comes down.
Yes.
And at a level, what are you comfortable with for it to be for you to eat?
Oh, anything below 140.
Okay.
But the great thing about this is that I can now travel solo. I can get on international flights. I can, it used to be that it was always a bit of a worry getting on a plane and going to England, or even getting on a plane and, or to Australia, or even shorter flights, and staying in hotels alone, because when you didn't have the protection that this provides, you could have a low, and you could,
right, and especially at night, if you're by yourself, and if you're not able to, you're sort of sleeping or just falling asleep, and you don't know that you're already low, you could have big troubles, because you could get to such a low that you go into a coma,
right,
and that could be a big problem. So with this one, there's an alarm that goes off,
right,
when you go too low,
well, yes,
in the middle of the night or whenever, and then you just adjust what you need to do. You eat something, or if it's gone really low, you take the glucagon or the glucose.
Yeah, glucose tablets. But
right.
Yeah, the great thing is this: you just don't have if you manage it well, you don't have the highs and lows. I mean,
right.
You can really keep it, just at a great level. And the alarm system is wonderful, because this will ring and just wake me in the middle of the night.
Right.
If my blood glucose, it'll warn me that my blood glucose is dropping rapidly, or that it's hit a lower level, and I have it set at 70, so that if I drop below that, I know that it's going to keep going lower. So I just get up and have half a banana or something, and then I'm fine for the rest of the night. And similarly, if I'm in, well, unfortunately I haven't been to New York City for a couple of years, but if I was ever in New York City walking more than I normally would after my walk, if I was walking between appointments, I would get a warning. I could eat an energy bar as I was going to the next meeting, and I was always fully protected because I didn't. Now I have to look for a place where I could finger prick, and do a test in the lobby of a building. Or this technology is magnificent, and I think there are two companies that are actively in the marketplace here. But the Dexcom system I've used is very good. Their support systems are great. That they have people around the country that will answer questions. But they have a new model coming perhaps later this year, which is even smaller than the one I've got. The first one I got was larger than this, and the next one is going to be even smaller, the transmitter. But it doesn't, I'm relatively small. I only weigh 154 pounds. So it's not really, it doesn't show itself. if I'm just wearing a T-shirt, no one would really know. And but it's not just convenience, it's just the practicality of being able to protect yourself and prolong your life. Because as I often think over the years, the diabetics I've tried to speak to, I'm just astonished at people who have not been willing to take the steps necessary.